Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video. Today we're going to be discussing the FIA's penalties over the past races and what we think about them. Very controversial stuff going on the last few weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of penalties, a lot of controversy amongst teams and the FIA. So where do we start?
I think it started to go crazy in Austria.
Yeah.
Because they were throwing.
They were like, oh,
penalties
probably free. You get a penalty.
They were like, penalties for everyone.
Christmas game early this year.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That was just crazy.
It was.
I can't even remember all the penalties that were given out.
I think the first one was Lando.
Yes.
Yeah.
For pushing Paris off track. For like I think the official statement was forcing another driver off the track. Yeah. But they didn't even touch.
No.
And Lando still had the racing line and was ahead, so.
Yeah, but talking about racing lines.
That's another topic we'll get back.
And then Paris went to do the same thing with Charles Leclerc twice.
Yeah.
Then we had Yuki, same race.
Oh,
crossing
Yuki twice.
The pit entry line twice.
Well, also, why do you do the same thing twice? I wasn't talking about Checo. I was talking about Yuki because the Checo thing is a whole other can of worms. The Yuki thing. I was like, the first time we did it, I was like, this is a stupid thing. Like, he wasn't fully he wasn't like going into the pit lane and then say like, oh, let's not. It was like a thing. But then doing the same thing twice.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
The same race.
I was like, dude.
Yeah.
This shouldn't. Like once, okay, accident. Twice
can happen. Like he's a rookie and all, but twice.
Yeah, but twice.
And
twice
then
I was like, boy,
being given the same amount of time penalty as Perez for pushing Charles off twice.
That just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
No.
But the FIA inconsistency that doesn't
exactly
work in one
and
sentence.
we all know consistency is key.
Consistency is key, yes. Yeah. But the FIA, they're not consistent.
No, also because they can decide how much of a penalty they give.
Yes.
Like there's no rule for like this sort of mistakes you get like a small penalty, and this sort of mistakes you get a big penalty. Like
it's
in normal car road rules.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yes.
And like if you
like the consequences, I feel like the consequences should have quite a lot to do with that actually, because it just should. I mean, when you compare, it's easy to compare penalties because it's the same penalty. I mean, I know it's like different, like Yuki going in the pit lane is completely different from pushing someone off the track, but Yuki wasn't ruining someone else's race.
No, and he wasn't gaining advantage.
No.
And he wasn't endangering anyone.
No.
And then if we move forward to like Silverstone, for example, and you see one driver putting another driver in the hospital, let's just not talk about who's at fault here. Just
no.
The fact that a driver ended up in the hospital and the same penalty is given for crossing the pit entry line twice.
Exactly. Yeah. That's just very.
I'm sorry, but no.
It rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, it doesn't sit right with me. But the same goes with like what happened in Hungary. There was a driver that ended the race for like basically 4 other drivers. And he got 10-second time penalty, if I'm correct. No, he
Yeah,
was out of
and
the race. But once he was out of the race, he got 5 pace grip penalty.
yeah.
And then in Silverstone, the driver only got 10-second penalty when the other
And
driver ended up in the
still
hospital.
won the race.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also,
I think like that case, if Lewis could still win the race, then it's not a harsh enough penalty.
no.
Exactly. And Lewis said so himself. I think it was in 2018 where he did an interview
Yes.
and saying that there should be change because you can't like end another driver's race and still win. He said that. I think it was it in a coincidence with Seb?
Could be. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
not sure.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. But the fact that Lewis said so himself and now it's bleeding the other way because it's him.
It was convenient for him.
Yes.
Of course.
He needed that win.
To take back the
Beside the fact that he crashed against Max, whether it was against Max or against
any other
Mick
driver.
Schumacher,
Yeah.
I don't
Whoever.
even care. But the fact that he needed that win, and because of that, he like sort of changed his opinion or like didn't voice his opinion the same way he did back then. That's not okay.
No.
I mean, it's
No.
not okay, but just it shows how fast people can change.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just there is some also getting into other rules about red flags and everything. There have been a couple of times where driver was really lucky after causing an accident after that caused a red flag and they got to repair the car, change tires and everything.
Exactly.
When normally the driver would fall at the back of the grid.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that if during a red flag you repair the car and you're like in the front of the grid, you shouldn't be able to repair the car without any cost, like without any love.
That's the thing. It's like the FIA give penalties for gaining an advantage, but then they
gain an advantage during a red flag, but they don't do a thing about it.
And let's be honest, that's like the biggest advantage you can get. Because if you would do all the repairs, you get to do under a red flag, which can last for over an hour. Just look at Bahrain. I know that was something different, but the red flag lasted forever.
Yeah.
And they got
also,
to repair all the cars.
Yeah.
It's like you can't do that during a normal pit stop when the race is still going on.
No.
So you definitely gain an advantage, especially if you're the driver who caused the accident.
Yeah, the same thing is like I think in the early years, they used to have 2 cars. I mean, they used to go to the race with 3 cars, 2 for each driver, an extra car made for the first driver, but anyone could race it from the team. I mean, besides the fact that for Silverstone, for example, Max was injured and he needed to go to the hospital. If they would have had a 3rd car and Max would have been able to drive it, that wouldn't have been fair either. I mean, he would have gained an advantage. He would have had a brand new car.
Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, I think they should have like a rule about what you can change, and they already have that, but also like the consequence of changing things.
Yeah, because if you like, let's say during a weekend you change the gearbox because something happened during qualifying or free practice, you get a grip penalty. But if you change anything during the red flag, there's nothing that happens.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can like tape the whole car, change the nose. I know, yes, of course you can do that during a normal pit stop.
I mean,
changing your
but
front
that takes so much time during a normal pit stop.
Exactly. And when we're doing that under red flag, you don't lose any time.
No, but like things like that, they don't really bother me. Things like changing the nose under red flag, because that's just, then you use your red flag right, but sometimes they change like so much, and then I'm like, well, might as well have gotten a brand new car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
because with Hungary, for example, Max changed a lot of in his car as well. with
Yeah,
the
but you
crash
still
he
had
had.
half a car to drive.
He still
Yeah.
had half
Really.
a car.
Exactly, like all the parts on the right side
He
were just
didn't. He
was
definitely
gone.
didn't gain
all
any
the bug
advantage.
ports and everything.
I mean, duct tape, everybody's best friend. It really
True.
holds a car
Yeah.
together.
It did. That
It-
car was basically
mean-
just duct tape.
Yeah.
It was.
Duct tape should sponsor everyone at this point. They should.
I thought that was just something my firefighter group always does when our tents were broken. We just go,
No.
yeah, here,
Oh no.
duct
Yeah,
tape. But see that people also do that. And F1 who's like,
So, Seb's disqualification.
Oof.
I mean, okay, let's get one thing straight. I get that there's a rule that you have to have 1 liter of
Yeah.
fuel that they can take out of the car. That's a set rule. We're not going to go into if that's correct or not. Because it's just a set rule that if you don't have that, you get disqualified. That's been like that for years now. But I just don't get why you get disqualified for not having enough fuel left in your car. But you can just drive another driver into a hospital and you get 10 seconds
Well,
time penalty.
be still able to win a race.
also, I talked about this as well. There's nothing Seb could have done that would have been better. He would have gotten a penalty, disqualified, grid place penalty, money, fine. He would have gotten something, whatever he did. Because now he got disqualified because he drove to a safe place to stop. I mean, he needed to do that. He couldn't like stop straight behind like the finishing line. If he did that, it wouldn't have been safe because people would still be racing there. So he would have gotten a penalty for that. If he, I don't know what else he could have done. I don't know what he should have done.
No.
Yeah, it's
To
weird because the thing is, it's like
avoid it.
if you went like fighting for the win, even more, like if you pushed the car more, then there would have been even less fuel. So it's like,
Also,
Yeah.
how is it possible that there wasn't enough fuel?
I think
They
because
have
they
stopped the car
didn't
early
expect Seb,
to-
and I didn't think they expected Seb to be fighting for almost 70 laps
Yeah.
because he was most of the
Yeah.
race he was in the 1 second window behind Ocon,
Yeah.
and we all know that that's way more exhausting for the car and just like because of the dirty air,
Yeah.
and also you definitely use more fuel, but still it's not fair to get disqualified for
I mean,
fighting for a race
it's
win.
not
a
Seb's
rule,
fault.
it's a
like
set
maybe it's
rule,
the
but-
team's fault. Like maybe the team should have told him maybe back off a bit. We need to like
Yeah.
save fuel.
Yeah.
But it's not Seb's fault. Like Seb worked so hard to get that
Yeah.
P2. It's just
Like, I know the rule makes sense about still having to have 1 liter of fuel in there, but
Also,
disqualification.
he had 1.7 liters of fuel in there. He had enough. They just weren't able to extract enough.
Yeah.
and that's not Seb's fault either.
No,
No.
Exactly.
it's just
Yeah, and
There's-
again,
there's,
it's
like,
easy
if-
to like compare it to a 10-second penalty for
Yeah.
crashing into someone in the wall or whatever, or crossing the pit lane 10 seconds.
yeah.
But
You know
fuel in
the
the
Also-
car, it's just
Yeah.
the amount of
It doesn't
like,
add up. It's
no,
Mm.
it doesn't add up.
The same thing with Ocon. He won the race, but then he got. I don't think he got a penalty. Just think he got a warning for not
warning. Yeah,
going to the right place. And he said,
Yes.
like, yeah, well, I didn't know where to go. My team didn't tell me.
He's never
Nobody
been
told
in
me
the position
where.
before.
No,
He's never-
and like with Seb,
And then-
'cause I think Seb also had that he didn't go into the pit lane. And with Seb,
Mm.
I get that that the FIA is like, yeah, you should have gone into the pit lane because
Well-
Seb has been in a position of being on the
Yeah,
podium.
but then he
multiple
wouldn't
times.
have enough fuel either.
No,
He'd-
no, I
Yeah.
get that, but like,
I
maybe
need to
Seb was
stop
aware of the
here.
fuel, and he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
stop
but
now.
like,
Yeah.
But a lot of drivers do that.
yeah,
We don't get a lot of penalties for just stopping and
No.
not doing.
no, but Ocon just got a
Because of-
warning. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
still, they were thinking about giving him a penalty for that.
yeah,
How is that fair?
yeah.
That he would have maybe gotten a penalty for something he didn't even know. It's the same as when, I think it was in Austria, Lando pitted, went into the pit lane at the wrong time.
Wasn't
I think
it Baku that he
or was
that
it in
he
Baku?
didn't go into the pit
Yeah,
lane
it
under
was
a
in
red flag? Or
Baku.
Yeah, it was.
yeah.
Yeah, but his team literally told him, "Don't come in."
No, you can stay out. Yeah. What
Yeah,
is he
it was
supposed
like
to do
really
then?
short notice. The red flag came on like when he was already on the pit
Past-
entry.
Yeah,
So
and if you pass the pit lane, like the pit entry line, you get a penalty as well. So
exactly.
And the thing is, it's like the FIA have been like, people have been talking about how the FIA need to improve like their yellow flag, red flag procedure. Like it needs to be quicker because it's not fast enough. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I think before throwing so many penalties, we really should use the warning flag more for giving every single driver for whatever mistake a warning. Because something with Yuki, it's nothing major. He's not putting anyone in danger. Just give that man a warning. I think it's the white and black flag.
Black and white flag,
Yeah. Just, it's not that difficult. And it doesn't destroy races for such minor incidents. And then if you look at like pushing another driver off track, that penalty would make so much more sense if you don't get the same penalty for crossing the pit entry line.
Also, going back to the accident at Silverstone, why, and maybe that's just personal opinion, why were Toto and name loss
Michael, the FIA guy,
Michael, yeah, but also Red
Christian
Bull,
Horner,
why were they able to talk to the FIA? That shouldn't be allowed.
That's always been the case. It's just never been the case that we could hear the radios with the FIA
but
and the
still,
teams. But
yeah, I know it's always been the case, but I don't think that should be allowed.
Well, in some
if you're a
cases
team
it should, because back when Max crashed, it was Christian who called out for a red flag. If Christian didn't do that, then people would still be driving, and we could have had much worse cases.
Yeah.
So when it comes to things like that, I think it's a good thing that they can, you know.
I think the thing is, if it's like a 2-driver crash or like multiple people, then if one person calls the FIA, they need to like ask the other person as well. Like they can't just be swayed by the person who's debating with them or persuading them.
That's what I think, because also it sometimes gives you the it sometimes makes people think that the FIA that the teams have some control over the FIA. For example, if it would have been a Haas Mercedes accident and Toto would have come to the FIA, people would think like, and then the FIA would make a decision in favor of Mercedes. People would think, well, what did Toto say in there? Because we only hear like a second of it. We don't hear the full conversation.
And there was still this email.
Michael, I sent you an email.
But I think when teams are allowed to talk to the FIA before the FIA made a decision, you lose the neutral thing of the FIA.
I get that.
Yeah, that is not objective anymore.
Yeah.
True. And there have been not rumors, but talks about the FIA favoring a certain 7-time world champion multiple times.
Yes.
I mean,
and I'm not surprised by that. Just for as an example, we take Canada 2019, the Zab and Lewis incident, where Zab lost his car, came back on the circuit. In my opinion, maybe I'm biased, but in my opinion, there was nothing major. He didn't push Lewis off track. He was on the racing line, and he came from the grass back to the circuit. Of course, you have some oversteer, understeer, whatever, because your tires are dirty. He lost the race, and he didn't even touch Lewis. Same with Lando and Perez in Austria. And because of that, back then, Lewis won the race. And we had Seb's legendary moment of just switching the you know
The
what,
boards, yeah, the
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah.
the boards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Sometimes I think FIA lost their neutral.
Yeah.
Mm. I just think about it, like, I know I'm kind of biased towards Max, but I just think if it was the other way around and Lewis had been involved in the big crash at Silverstone,
It would have
I
been.
just get the feeling Max would have had a worse penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Or if like anybody else beside Max would have crashed into Lewis,
They would have got.
like if Lando would have done it, if George would have done it, it would have been way worse.
And the thing is, there was an incident in Austria. I'm not sure who, but someone got a 30-second penalty. I'm not sure if it was Kimi with
Yeah, it was Kimi.
Seb.
Yeah.
That, see, that was, I don't know if it was a crash exactly, but it didn't end anyone's race. Two, they were both able to finish the race, I think.
I'm not sure.
30
I'm not
seconds
sure. I
compared to
think
10.
we did Seb finish. I don't think Seb.
not sure, it
I
was
don't
right
think
at the
both of
end.
them.
I'm not
It's
sure.
fair.
But I just feel like 30 seconds compared to 10.
Yeah, that was just.
For a driver ending up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just.
Or last lap incident at the back of the grid, basically.
Yeah, the thing is, we talk about gaining an advantage. Like, we know Lewis got 10 seconds, but he still got a podium. That's
He
still
won
an
the
advantage.
race.
And he
yeah.
was able to make his car
To repair it, yeah.
Exactly.
repair. Yeah. That's the right word.
Yeah, it's.
Well,
I think in conclusion, the FIA just needs to think about their decisions and set rules for penalties that you give out,
and the
maybe
amount of like time
like have a look after everything when everyone has calmed down and see how bad the impact really was and everything, because there's so much. I know like everyone's got room for improvement, and I don't think the FIA should shut that down, because yes, of course most of the time they're doing a great job, and it's important that we've got the FIA and the stewards doing the decisions they're doing, but there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, and I think we might need some new people in the FIA and stewards.
Some people who aren't like favoring any driver.
Yeah, some.
How about us?
Some
this is our application.
FIA hire us.
I don't think we would be really objective.
I'd be good at it.
Same,
but we have good, strong opinions, though.
We do
and
have
we
good,
always
strong opinions.
stick to it.
And
yeah,
we're fair, so.
We are.
But yeah, I think the FIA needs some new, younger, not the same old.
Old
because
white some of them are like.
Some have been in the FIA since the start of F1.
Oh,
at least that's what it feels like.
Yes.
And we've been racing for 71 years now.
I wonder when the rules were like last
checked.
Yeah.
I think that was 70 years ago.
I think
that's the thing. It's like everyone's evolving all the time. I don't know if the rules are
the rules aren't
with the times.
It's not.
Talking about rules evolving, I think this might be our last topic for the video. Don't know. The shirt thing. Honestly, how? Why?
I don't get it.
They were reprimanded for taking their equality shirt off during a movement for equality.
In the country where they were just about to get a voting on children being allowed to get educated, like getting sexual education without their parents giving their permission to do so, basically taking away every right that
also
you don't get, like the Formula One starts this whole thing about racism, and then I'm sorry, but they're racing countries like Hungary where LGBTQ people have basically no rights. Like their ministry is trying to strip away the last rights they've got. We're racing in Saudi Arabia, in where else?
So
Saudi
many
Arabia.
countries where they're
So many
So-
countries.
they're not equal rights, and
I mean,
No,
even-
not even close.
And the thing
Yeah.
is, it's like F1 is a huge platform, like millions of people watch. Like F1 can make an influence. So
yes.
I just
Exactly.
don't see why they would want to portray the image of F1 where people aren't allowed to have rights because people are not allowed to wear a t-shirt
I
to
think
voice their opinion. It's just
it just
crazy.
shows that F1 is ruled by old white men.
men.
Still
Yeah.
old white men who still live in the time where it was all better.
People
Yeah.
like Bernie Ecclestone, who's like when you think of like Formula One and you don't think of drivers or teams, you think of Bernie Ecclestone. People like him saying that racism doesn't exist and criticizing Lewis for wearing a shirt that says "Arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor" on the podium. It's like, dude, do we live in the same world? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if it's because we grew up in a different generation. I think it's safe to say that our generation is way more open-minded
Yes, for sure.
to basically everything.
Mm.
I just
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
also it's just weird. Like, actually, Lewis wore that on the podium. What's the difference between the podium and
That's
the
what I was gonna
cigarette?
say.
Like, it's just
Like-
the F1 environment. It's still on TV. Like,
Yeah.
if that's
And-
the problem, then
Well,
And even the podium is shown more on TV than
exactly.
the act.
yeah, because in the
So-
Netherlands they don't show the kneeling act anymore
No,
on TV.
same here.
Not at all.
So yeah, I mean, why wasn't Lewis reprimanded then? Again, why are other people's reprimanded for wearing a equality shirt and wasn't Lewis?
He was.
Lewis
He was under investigation
Was he?
for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
But
He
the thing I love out of all this is Seb said he would do it again, and I just think
Yes.
that's
Oh,
just.
yes.
I mean, why not?
Honestly, Zap is one of the best-hearted people I know. Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, of course, he's a racing driver, but he still tries everything possible to somehow save the world, and even if it's
Yeah.
just picking up trash after the race, building a hotel for beats, or wearing that damn rainbow shirt to make the world a little better.
Yeah.
Because he's a 4-time world champion. He's got some influence on people,
Yes.
and I think if we just change just like one single mind, that would be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
I'm getting a bit emotional here.
So this was this week's video. Thanks everyone for watching. Drop your opinions on the FIA and their rules and what you think they need to change or what they can do better. Make sure to follow us make sure to follow us on all of our social medias, and we'll see you next week.